My name is Ryan Smith. I'm a 25-year-old average businessman working in New York City. Well, I think I'm average, but apparently, others see me a bit differently.
Huh, gloomy guy, you were here. Didn't notice you in the dark.
That's what a female colleague, Wilson, said to me, implying I'm gloomier and more melancholic than normal. Lately, in the office, I'm referred to not as Smith but as gloomy. True, I don't like actively chatting with people or fake smiling, but I don't consider myself a negative thinker. I've never thought of myself as gloomy. Looking back though, I guess my life's been perceived that way. Fortunately, I don't overthink things too much. But there's one person in the company who stands up for me.
Hey, Wilson, don't say things like that to Ryan. It's disrespectful.
That's Miss Parker, my female boss. She's 4 years older than me and my colleague Wilson, a career woman and a young department manager. She's competent, has leadership qualities, and is very kind. I truly respect her.
Miss Parker always defending Ryan. We're just teasing him, right, Ryan?
Yeah, sure. If this is teasing, I wish they'd stop. I can't quite say that, so I just go along with Wilson.
Really? Ryan, if something's bothering you, talk to me. I am the manager, after all. I want to improve anything that makes anyone in my department uncomfortable.
Just hearing Miss Parker say that makes me feel a lot lighter. Even if I say I don't mind, being called gloomy and such every day doesn't feel great. Thank you, Miss Parker.
Be too nice to him, Miss Parker, and he might start liking you, maybe even stalk you.
Wilson's usual comments.
Wilson, enough. Get back to work. All right, all right.
Being labeled a stalker is harsh. I respect Miss Parker as my boss and have never seen her in that way. Even if I did like her, the last thing I'd want is to be a nuisance. Maybe my apparently gloomy appearance makes me seem like that character. But since then, Wilson started to enjoy portraying me as a stalker character, teasing me at every opportunity. Miss Parker, could you please check these documents? I was only speaking to Miss Parker because she's my direct supervisor.
Well, Ryan's clinging to Miss Parker again.
Wilson would comment. Then, after lunch, when I had a meeting with Miss Parker, anyone seen Miss Parker? I asked a colleague. Wilson overheard and,
there he goes, stalking Miss Parker again.
She said, despite my purely professional intent. Such comments made work uncomfortable. Wilson might think it's just a joke, but my colleagues, hearing it daily, started to look at me with suspicion. People say you look like a stalker because of your appearance. I heard such rumors and became labeled as Miss Parker Stalker in the office. Of course, no one mentioned these rumors in front of Miss Parker, so she seemed unaware. I didn't bring it up either but started avoiding her to prevent the rumors from spreading.
Ryan, can I talk to you for a minute?
One day, while working at my desk, Miss Parker approached me. I'd been avoiding initiating contact, so it felt like a while since we last talked. What is it? I replied.
I have something to ask you, Ryan. Do you have a moment?
She asked me. I wondered if it was about the stalker rumors. In my mind, a foreboding feeling arose. And it seemed I wasn't the only one thinking that way, as my colleagues were all watching us. Yes, I'm available. If it was about the stalker issue, I had to clear it up, and even if it wasn't, I couldn't ignore my boss. Miss Parker then led me to a conference room a bit away. Once inside, she took out coffee from her bag and placed it in front of me.
Please, have some.
Thank you, Miss Parker. My superior, being so considerate, reaffirmed my respect for her. Grateful for the coffee, I started to drink as Miss Parker began to speak.
I wanted to ask you something, Ryan.
Yes, my heart was racing inside. Even though I hadn't done anything wrong, the fear of being suspected as a stalker was terrifying. If I couldn't clear up the misunderstanding and ended up with the police, it could ruin my life. I dreaded what Miss Parker might say next, but then.
You seem troubled.
Her words were unexpected. Excuse me, I asked, taken aback.
Recently, you've seemed down, Ryan. You're quieter than usual. I've been thinking you must be dealing with something. I'm still learning as a manager, but I want to create a comfortable team for everyone in the department. If you have any concerns, I'd like you to share them.
Miss Parker was just being herself. caring as always. Whether she knew about the rumors or not, her kindness was evident. It's true that since the stalker rumors started, I felt even more uncomfortable at work. But sharing this worry with Miss Parker seemed like tattling on Wilson, which also made me feel guilty. I wasn't exceptionally troubled or stressed, just a bit more uncomfortable than usual. So, despite Miss Parker's concern, I couldn't bring myself to talk about it. I've just been overworking a bit. Just lack of sleep. I'll be careful with my health. It's part of the job too. Thank you for your concern, I replied, trying to reassure her.
Are you sure that's all?
She asked, looking unconvinced. Yes, that's all. After my response, she seemed to understand.
All right, I'll try to balance the work assignments better. If you have any issues, feel free to talk to me anytime.
Thank you, Miss Parker. With that, the conversation ended peacefully, or so I thought.
I need to make a call here. You can go back first, Ryan.
Miss Parker said. I stood up and left the conference room, heading back to my desk. As I was about to leave with the coffee, I heard a loud crash and thud behind me. Turning around, I was shocked to see Miss Parker had collapsed. Miss Parker, are you okay? I rushed over to help her up, but something was wrong. She was unconscious and seemed not to be breathing. I had no medical expertise and didn't know what to do in such a situation, but I instinctively tried to listen for her breathing. There was none. I checked for a pulse but couldn't feel anything. Miss Parker, Miss Parker. I called her name repeatedly, but there was no response. The dreadful thought that her heart might have stopped crossed my mind. In a panic and with a confused mind, I first thought to call an ambulance. But I had left my phone in the office, so I opened the door to retrieve it. There, I ran into Wilson and urgently asked, "Do you have your phone?" Surprised, Wilson responded,
"Yeah, but..."
Miss Parker's collapsed. I think her heart stopped. Call an ambulance, I quickly explained.
Okay, got it.
Wilson was quite shocked, but quickly used her phone to make the call. While Wilson made the call, I remembered something from a new employee training, the AED. I had never used it outside of training and only vaguely remembered how, but I knew I had to try. I ran to get the AED from the office and brought it to Miss Parker. As I was about to tear her shirt to place the pads correctly,
What are you doing?
Wilson shouted. I wasn't sure if Wilson was shocked by the shirt tearing or the fact that I, a man, was doing it to our female boss. But there was no time to explain. This is an emergency. Stay quiet, I retorted sharply. I tore Miss Parker's shirt, placed the AED pads on her chest, and proceeded with the procedure. The loud bang and the jolt of her body when the shock was administered were terrifying. But my fear had to take a backseat. Miss Parker's life was at stake. Tears streamed down my face as I continued with the AED procedure. Soon, the ambulance arrived and took her to the hospital. I did everything I could, but all I could do now was hope that Miss Parker would be all right. A few hours later, I received a call from the hospital. Miss Parker had survived. I was deeply relieved. They said that her heart had stopped only for a brief moment, and thanks to the timely AED procedure, she was not expected to have any lasting effects. The nurses complimented the appropriate use of AED, which made me feel genuinely grateful. Miss Parker's return to work might still be a way off, but I was eager to see her healthy again. That's what I thought. I also wanted to pat myself on the back for bravely using the AED despite my fears. However, the incident took an unexpected turn in the office gossip. One day, I noticed a female colleague avoiding me, which was somewhat hurtful, though I didn't have close colleagues. But that day, the avoidance seemed more pronounced, and I felt something was off. During lunch, as I was preparing instant noodles in the break room, I overheard some female colleagues gossiping nearby, unaware of my presence.
Did you hear about what happened when Miss Parker collapsed? Yeah, about Ryan? I heard. It's creepy.
I couldn't believe it. I had worked hard to perform the AED procedure, and now I was being called creepy. I should have confronted them, but I was too shocked to move. Then,
Wilson.
Hearing a voice exclaim, I realized she happened to be passing by and joined in on the gossip.
Did you hear about Miss Parker's incident?
Upon hearing this, Wilson made an unbelievable statement.
Of course, I was there. I saw Ryan touching Miss Parker all over while she was unconscious. Ew, gross.
My colleagues giggled and continued their conversation. I never had any inappropriate intentions. Sure, I had to touch Miss Parker during the AED procedure, but it was only out of necessity, not with any ulterior motive.
I warned him, but he just got angry. He probably wanted to take advantage of the chaos.
Wilson remarked. Indeed, I had been assertive with her, but I never had such intentions. She witnessed the entire situation and should have known better.
Ryan has always been stalking Miss Parker, right? It wouldn't be surprising if he did.
Someone else added that accusation was completely unfounded. As these baseless rumors continued to spread, I felt increasingly ostracized for things I never did. It was as if I was being labeled a criminal for stalking or inappropriate touching. Shocked and hurt, I was unable to move from my spot.
Oh, Ryan's here.
A colleague noticed me in the nearby break room. Then,
Typical Ryan, eavesdropping. That's really creepy.
Wilson then remarked, I wanted to retaliate, but I was too disheartened to respond. I felt that nothing I said would be understood or make a difference.
I've been hearing my name being mentioned.
Suddenly, Miss Parker appeared.
Miss Parker.
It was Miss Parker, looking just as she did before her hospitalization.
Are you okay now?
My colleagues asked, rushing to her, all smiles. I was truly relieved that she was safe. Then, Miss Parker turned to look at me.
I heard about it. Ryan, thanks to you, I survived. I have a heart condition and never expected such a sudden attack. I truly thank you.
Miss Parker said, bowing her head. It's nothing. I'm just glad you're safe, I replied, feeling a deep sense of relief. Overhearing this,
Miss Parker, about that. This guy took advantage of you being unconscious and was touching you all over. You don't need to thank him for that.
Wilson interjected. I was about to assert, that's a misunderstanding, but before I could,
I heard all the rumors.
Miss Parker said. I braced myself for what she might say next, but Miss Parker addressed Wilson.
Do you know what defamation is, Wilson?
Wilson looked shocked.
Spreading baseless rumors to tarnish someone's reputation is defamation, a serious crime. The conference room where I collapsed has a camera for meeting records. It captured everything. I watched the footage, and Ryan was only trying to save my life. You were there, you should know this. Yet, you chose to spread rumors that damage his reputation. That's defamation.
Wilson seemed taken aback by Miss Parker's unexpected words.
No, it was just a joke.
She said, forcing a smile, but Miss Parker didn't share in the laughter.
If it's a joke, then stop it. It's not funny at all.
She firmly stated. Soon after, Wilson apologized and was compelled to correct the rumors among our colleagues. It was inevitable that she soon became known within the company as a liar. While I felt a bit sorry for her, I hoped this experience would teach her a lesson. A year has passed since then. Miss Parker and I continue to work together as before, maintaining a healthy supervisor-subordinate relationship. My reputation as the quiet guy hasn't changed, but I'm no longer the subject of strange rumors. Now, I can communicate better with my colleagues, making my work life more enjoyable